Plants vs. Zombies is a strategy and tower defense game developed and published by PopCap Games. PvZ released on PC in 2009 before making its way onto mobile devices and consoles. It started out as a little game developed by a handful of people and became a multimedia franchise. 2 direct sequels have been made along with spin-offs, including a digital card game and a third-person shooter. PopCap had already cultivated a following thanks to games like Bejeweled and Peggle. However, it wasn't until the release of PvZ that the popularity of PopCap catapulted into the mainstream gaming audience. PvZ became PopCap's best-selling game upon its release on iOS devices, setting a launch record for selling more than 300,000 copies in its first 9 days. Thanks to its mobile release, PvZ quickly grew from a hit game to a cultural phenomenon. With it still being the early days of mobile games, quality games were limited, but the market was expanding with the sale of smartphones and tablets. A carefully crafted game like PvZ easily stood out as a premium game for iOS users, making it a must-have app on their touchscreen devices. The development of PvZ began when series creator George Fan started coming up with ideas for a sequel to his previous game, Aquarium, a fish tank simulator. Fan essentially wanted to make a gardening game where players could pick seeds, plant them to sell for money, and buy other plants to defend from oncoming waves of aliens. However, he felt that there was a mismatch between some of the ideas, such as defending while having to water and nurture the garden. Fan continued to develop his ideas by making it more like a traditional tower defense game. He removed the gardening aspect as he found it to be too tedious, but kept the plants and aliens. The sequel ideas became a whole new game when Fan hand-scribbled an outline on a piece of paper. This piece of paper changed Fan's life, as it contained all of the core concepts that made PvZ unique. This is where Fan incorporated the 5-lane gameplay, the idea of sun as a resource, the seed packet loadout, and the introduction of the zombie as the enemy, officially making the game Plants vs. Zombies. Now looking at the game, 3 things that made it stand out are the gameplay, the character design, and the music. The idea for making PvZ a tower defense game comes from Fan spending many hours playing custom maps in Warcraft 3, specifically the tower defense games. The arcade game Tapper also inspired Fan to implement the lane-based gameplay as he thought it had more appeal than a standard tower defense game. Although the game started out with aliens as the enemy, the zombie was ultimately chosen because Fan needed an enemy that players could instantly recognize as slow, allowing players enough time to plan against them. In contrast, the plants became the towers because Fan wanted something players knew was stationary. Additionally, he wanted something he could draw faces on because he likes to fill his games with as much character as possible. To compose the game's soundtrack, Fan reached out to Laura Shigihara. Before creating the music, Shigihara played through the game a few times, which allowed her to match the music to the feel of the game. She described the soundtrack as macabre but goofy, mostly consisting of dark-sounding music with melodies and up-tempo beats, drawing inspiration from Danny Elfman's sound and the Mega Man games. Plants vs. Zombies is one of those little games that ends up being bigger than anyone expected, but with good reason. Part of Fan's design philosophy involves creating a game that appeals to the widest audience possible. He understood the complexity of the tower defense genre, which usually involved scrolling through multiple screens. Fan aimed to make a simplified yet creative tower defense game, one that could be played on a single screen. Thanks to their creativity and hard work, the PopCap team was able to accomplish this goal, as well as introduce the tower defense genre to a new audience. The success and popularity of PvZ allowed it to develop into a franchise spanning over 10 years with games across genres. Now, even though PvZ is no longer in the hands of Fan and he no longer works with PopCap, it's still something that means a lot to him. Fan has enjoyed watching his creation grow and seeing how it impacted people who didn't want zombies on their lawn.